Hello! It's been a while since I did a hidden gems recommendations type of video, I figured I'd take a break from like the tabloid style gossip videos and cover some brutal death metal gems that don't seem to get a ton of attention. Anyway, the albums I'm going to cover in this video are all from the 90s, and to me they all have some aspect that kind of makes them stand out in the grand scheme of the genre. I tend to prefer like the brutal death shit that's less on the groovy, slammy side of things, so none of these records are really in that vein. And I'm also not into the super clean sounding, like modern technical stuff, so there's nothing in that like necrophagous style either. This video is for people who've already heard like, obvious stuff like Suffocation, Cryptopsy, Deeds of Flesh, Mortal Decay, and you're wanting more like old school kind of stuff that doesn't get a lot of attention. As always, feel free to leave your own recommendations and comments on the albums I cover. I'll be listing everything in the description as well. Alright, man, first up is the Czech band Agony Conscience with their 1996 album Look Into the Silence. This one's actually gotten semi-popular in recent years, but it's still not super well known. It's pretty much like unrelenting noise, non-stop brutality. You get your breathing room in the form of these like unsettling interludes and bizarre kind of industrial sounding like noise parts. It's hard to explain, but there's really like a oppressive atmosphere to this whole record, and almost kind of like this grindy machine-like kind of sound, for an album that seems to revel in its own chaos. It's pretty engaging, and the riffs are all pretty grounded in a sense. Like there's this catchiness and musicality, shrouded within the veneer of noise and chaos, which is always a cool element in metal. Up next is another band from the Czech Republic, Garbage Disposal with 1997's Union Carbide. This one's killer, man. One interesting thing about this one is the drummer actually played with Lycathia Flame and Appalling Spawn, which are two other bands who had a unique take on this style of music. Anyway, this kind of grindy technical shit, I just really dig the song structures. The bass is awesome. There's a lot of those like old school classic elements that keep it like pretty musically varied and engaging. You could kind of compare it to an album like Erosion of Sanity, or maybe like Afterlife Surreality. Like if those albums went full on like brutal death with the drums and vocals, All right, so up next, man, we got I don't know why Eastern Europe makes such fucked up death metal, but we got another one, man. Erythrosi, if I'm saying that correct, man, from Slovakia with 1996's Incomplete Minds. Once again, I love this period in the genre's history because you still have a lot of like classic elements here. It kind of mixes like that New York early 90s brutality with some of these kind of like atmospheric, almost like melodic, but like gloomy sounding guitar parts that are, like to me more characteristic of Europe, It's also technical as hell, man, so definitely check this one out. I don't really care for their second album, Delight, from 2001, but a lot of people seem to dig that one as well. But I definitely prefer this one. Up next, man, I think they're pronounced Nefas or Nefas from Italy. Their 2002 album, 7x7, that one's killer, but my favorite of all their releases, I'm going to focus on their 1999 EP, Transfiguration to the Ancient's Form. I have no idea why these guys aren't more well known. It's good shit, man. Again, you got this classic sort of New York DM sound like Morpheus Descends or like Immolation, but the technicality is really ramped up. And there's this like weird style of riffing that kind of reminds me of like the first Nile record. So again, their full-length album, 7x7, that one's great as well. It's probably even more like twisted and angular sounding than this one, but I think this one kind of hits the sweet spot. It's like 20 minutes, 22 minutes. Next one isn't so much of a hidden gem as it is an interesting oddity, but so we're going back to the USA, man. Disencumbrance from Texas with 1995's The Betrayal demo. This is pretty much like a Suffocation worship with like some strong deicide influence back when brutal death metal still had a noticeable deicide influence, and you can hear some more Morbid Angel and shit as well. It's solid stuff, man. Not groundbreaking or anything, but what's crazy about this band is they're a fucking Christian death metal band, man. So I guess as early as 1995, the brutal death subgenre had their own like mortification, I guess. I kind of have to wonder what was going through their heads, but it's definitely a solid listen. I mean, you listen to it, you can't understand what the fuck they're saying, so don't let the Christian angle turn you off. I mean, if you look at the cover, you can't even tell. All right, man. So back in the USSR, man, we got Scrambled Defunks from Russia with 1998's Catacomb Abattoir. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I'll list it in the description anyway. These guys are more known for their 2009 album, Souls Despising the God, which I didn't really like that one at all. It's more of like a symphonic kind of Sectic Flesh. Yeah, I just didn't like it, man. But their first album from '98 is definitely sweet. It's basically like a Russian suffocation, pyrexia type sound, but there's a certain like weird technicality that makes it more interesting to me than like a lot of the run-of-the-mill shit. There's just a lot of good riffs here, and you know, it's a good length. That's another thing about all these records are like between like 22 and 35 minutes long, so none of these records on the list really like overstay their welcome. Anyway, the next one I'm going to talk about is from Quebec, man. Obscene Crisis with 1995 Silence of the Mind. One interesting thing about this this record is the lead guitar player actually plays on Cataclysm's Deathgate Cycle of Reincarnation demo and the Mystical Gate of Reincarnation EP. And you see some of that kind of weird off-kilter style of riffing on this one as well. But this is way more like all-out brutal and like knuckle-dragging. They're kind of similar to another Quebec band, if you guys know Necrotic Mutation, who are also really good. But Obscene Crisis really like ramps up the brutality and the rawness, and there's way less of like the technicality of Necrotic Mutation. Next one on the list, man, Utah. Disordered with 1998 Documentaries of Disgust. Disgust is the right word, man. This is some more knuckle dragging, brutal shit. The band's main claim to fame, if any, is that one of the guitarists, Mike Kimball, went on to play for Dying Fetus. But to me, man, this record's more up my alley than Dying Fetus. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but it's just, you know, brutal, raw, stripped down. The drums sound organic. It's a fun album, you know. All right, so that's the last one I'm going to cover. I had a few others I considered talking about, like Death Rune's 1994 Memories of the Exhumed demo, but I guess that's not even really a hidden gem anymore because I looked it up, man. It's got like 8,000 views on fucking Ken's Crypt or whatever, so I was like, yeah, I guess people know about that one, but I do recommend it. It's got the same lead singer as the first Moral Decay album, which is awesome. I also considered talking about a band from Quebec called Demence, their 1996 album Total Dememberment, which is really good, like almost Cannibal Corpse worship type shit. And I also thought about covering Caustic from Spain with 1999's Rebirth of Procreation, but I decided that both of those albums were not quite full on, like brutal death enough, but I do say you should give them a shot anyway. All this shit's on fucking YouTube, you know. It's all free. As always, man, I'll be listing all the albums in the description along with their Metal Archives pages, and I'll include a link to a playlist on my channel where I keep all my serious recommendations videos and like hidden gems and all that shit. Obviously, most of the videos I post are kind of meant to be stupid, but every once in a while I'll do a serious one. So I also did a melodic death metal hidden gems video. I did a technical death metal hidden gems video. There's some other stuff on there that might interest you if this one interests you. So, you know, feel free to share your thoughts on these albums, throw out some recommendations of your own, and thanks for watching, man.